Ready? Okay. So if you were a wealthy Spanish family during the colonial time, you would pick an image of Mary or a saint to represent your family and bring good fortune. One of the wealthiest families in town were the Canals, and they lived across the street from where Starbucks is today, the Red Bank building. And they picked this image of Mary, called Our Lady of Loreto. The story behind her is in the 1200s, the house that Mary grew up in and that Jesus lived in for 30 years still exists. Mary looks down from heaven, sees there a war going on, so she flies down from heaven, picks up her home, flies it across the Mediterranean Sea, and puts it down in Loreto, Italy. Because it's a long flight, she loses her arms and hands. That's how you can tell her in art she's holding a baby Jesus, but she's got no arms and hands. So the Canal family forms a street called Loreto down here, and then in the building behind me, they build an exact replica of her house from Loreto. The same tiles, windows, doors, size. If you want to see it, just go in sometime when they're not having mass, go up to the altar, and it's a shrine to the left. The only difference between this house and the one in Loreto is it only has 3 walls, because ironically it symbolizes Mary's open arms to let anybody into her shrine. So that would have been Mary's main living area, and it's where Mr. and Mrs. Canal then get buried. But behind it would be the sleeping quarters, and that's a much smaller shrine. You can always tell you're in it, and it's not often open, normally just for Day of the Dead, and very small weddings and baptisms. But if you walk into it, what you'll notice right away is there's a life-size wax statue of a young man with brown curly hair who appears to be taking a nap. If you look in the wax, you see the relics of St. Columbanus. St. Columbanus was an Irish saint. He lived in the 500s and he loved the open road. So he would travel all around what is today France. And everywhere he stopped, he would build an early monastery. Because he liked traveling on the open road so much, he's now the patron saint of motorcycle drivers. How he got here is in the mid-1700s, there's a philosopher in Mexico City. He's written many books, very intelligent man, very prolific. He goes to Europe and he gets a private meeting with the Pope. But the Pope feels, despite this man's intelligence and his writings, anybody from the Americas is sort of a country bumpkin. So the philosopher plays to this image, and when he first meets the Pope, the very first words out of his mouth are, "I want to take back to Mexico the relics of 5 martyrs." The Pope is so offended at the audacity of the request, he replies, "Tell you what, I'll give you 1. So when reporters stopped the philosopher after his meeting, they were like, "Why were you so rude to the Pope?" And his famous reply is, "Well, I know if I ask for 5 martyrs, I might get 1.